Welcome back to Fueled by Coffee Podcast, a podcast centered around coffee and conversation with my friends about life. My name is Matt, and I'm your host. Today, we are back with a very special episode. We're getting a little close to a reboot. More on that in a minute. But yeah, for those who are new, just tuning in, this is a podcast that I started about 4 years ago, and it's all about friends and conversations and life. And if that sounds interesting to you, go check out our older episodes. We're streaming now off of Spotify as well as YouTube. So lots of great stuff in the tank and lots of great stuff to come. So I want to announce real quick, Fueled by Coffee Podcast is coming back October 11th. We're having an episode called Homecoming. It'll feature Pete from my cousin's girlfriend's house and myself. And from there, we'll be doing 2 episodes a month once again through the end of the year. And going forward, we're going to do things a little bit differently. I'll talk about that on the Homecoming episode. And to go with the reboot, we are also launching a new merch line. We have dropped Teespring because they are garbage. We are now running with Printful, who makes awesome t-shirts. I'm wearing one right now for those who can't see with your ears. So we got t-shirts, we got sweatshirts, and all sorts of cool stuff on the way. So that will be launching. We'll be running it through an Etsy. I'll have all the links on social media. And speaking of social media, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Fueled by Coffee Podcast. So now to get into the episode. I am here for a second time with a new up-and-coming star here on the podcast, my friend Matty out here in Colorado. Matty, what is up? Last time we were on here, it was Christmas time, and now it is the middle of the summer.
Yeah, man, I'm so happy to be back.
Absolutely.
Be a part of this once again.
Absolutely, man. That Christmas podcast is a great one. It was
fun.
Like it was a lot of fun. I go back and I listen to it, and just the way that we, I don't know, some of the banter was great.
And it was long, but it didn't feel long.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like, oh, we're approaching an hour and a half or 15, But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
that was 8 months ago now.
I was gonna say, dude,
that was 8 months ago. Wow.
And you know it's crazy. So like the last season of the podcast ended in September of 2022, and then we did the Christmas episode in like November, December. And it's funny because we were talking about like goals we accomplished at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh yeah, like we were all like, we did this, we did that. Aaron was donating plasma and making us feel bad about our lives.
And I'm still trying to donate plasma and I still haven't done it yet.
And it's funny because, you know, we were talking about everything we did up until that point, but I feel like there's so much going on, like even now. Like I was saying, I wanted to get my work published.
Yeah,
I just put out a book.
Yes, you did.
So for those who are interested,
and people have bought it. Like that's even bigger than putting it out. Like people actually have spent money on it. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, not a huge flex. 257 copies sold at the time of this recording.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, for a nobody.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so I put out a book. It's called We Were Fire in the Night. It's poetry, if you like. I've been calling it a marriage between Charles Bukowski, Neil Hilborn, who's a modern poet, and then the Beat Generation, which is a collection of writers from like the 50s and 60s. They were like the beginning of like the counterculture movement. Right. So it's like a marriage of all three of those things, and I put my own, dark little spin on it. So it's cool. But yeah, dude, it's crazy to think that was that long ago.
Right.
It was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Over half of a year.
Yeah. By the time this drops, it'll almost be Christmas again.
That's right.
So, yeah, crazy stuff. But as always, this coffee is centered around this podcast. Good Lord, you can tell I haven't done this in 7 months. This podcast is centered around coffee. Today, we went again to Dutch Bros. Dutch
That's
Bros,
right.
Please sponsor me. Matty, what did you grab today?
I grabbed the most girly drink I could find. It is a blended, they call it the Freeze. It's from the Freeze line. It's called Picture Perfect.
Okay.
So I've lost my man card for the day, but it's got caramel and chocolate drizzle on it. And I'm going to try it right now. I haven't even tried it yet.
You know, it's okay that you lost your man card early because you're going to lose it later when you're shoving meat in your mouth.
I'm going to lose it again tomorrow because I'm going to have that one more time. That's really good.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm drinking one of my favorites, and it's It really depends on who the barista is. Normally I go with an iced annihilator, which is like, it's like macadamia white chocolate, which sounds girly, but we went over this on the Christmas episode. You go to Dutch for the girly drinks. That's like kind of the thing.
Oh yeah.
It's a dessert.
Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, so today I'm going with the Grasshopper Mocha, which is, it's supposed to be mocha with mint in it, but I always have to ask for an extra pump of mint because it just tastes like straight up chocolate. And I don't dig that.
Yeah, and it sounds like they didn't even.
No,
did they give you?
No, I was having a hard time distinguishing mine and Kayla's. Kayla likes the double mocha, which is like double chocolate, and I had to sip both of them, and I was like, whose is whose? But there's a faint hint of mint. It's good. It's when they do it right, it's almost equivalent to the Wawa. I used to get this iced latte that was like a mint chocolate chip latte, and it was like, It was
that sounds good,
dude. It was so good. But yeah, so this is pretty close. Dutch Bros. It's good. It's it's what you'd expect. It kind of tastes like chocolate milk, honestly. Like it's the coffee is not really there. So this is a coffee sin, but it's still good.
Yeah,
why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, Dutch Bros, please sponsor me. We love you guys. So let's jump right in. As we were talking, this year has gone by so fast.
Yeah, really quick.
It's already July. I have been in Colorado for like a year.
That's right.
And I met you probably like a week or two after I moved here.
Yeah, so we met a week before my 40th birthday, which is August 13th. And that was a Saturday.
Yes.
So we met sometime early August. Yeah,
for those who don't know, we were both perusing the casual connection side of Craigslist.
Yes, we were.
and we ended up coming across each other. Matty said something about my bun and about my head wrap, and he was like, "Ooh, kind of like that."
This guy seems pretty dope. And he's rocking that.
And then he went and got a freeze at Dutch Bros. He went and got the what is it? The sparkle freeze? What is it called?
No, dude, I had black coffee. I was trying to be a man. Like
so did I.
Like first impressions, I was like, I'll take a. I think it was Americano. I got. Yeah, and you got the black coffee.
Yeah,
and that was a day. That was 24 hours after, right? I want
not even, dude. Not even. I think I got your email. We were getting into bed. It was like 11 o'clock at night.
That's right. And we chatted for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Via Instagram.
Yes. And then the next day.
Yeah. And both of our wives were like, "What the hell are y'all doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is going on?" I'm pretty sure Kayla was like, because I think I said something in my email that I was 40 or about to be 40 or something.
You emphasized that. You were like, "Hey Matt, like, I've been in band before and I'm looking to do like a little 3-piece punk thing. Mm-hmm. However, I am," you emphasize it.
Yeah.
"I am 40 years old." And I was just like, well, I have no friends out here, so like anyone can be cool. Like my friend Aaron is in his 30s, right. My brother-in-law's in his mid-30s. Like I'm friends with, I have a friend named Mike who's in his 60s.
Right.
So like age is just a number to me. And Kayla was like, "Oh, he's in his 40s. I don't know." And then we pulled up your Facebook, and she was like, "Oh, he looks like a nice guy." And I was like, "Yeah." So that was really weird. Just like going, like you said, it was like a blind date.
It really was. And the reason, for context, and I can't speak for other places because the internet wasn't as prominent. Like because I'm also from the Allentown, Lehigh Valley area, but yeah, we had internet and stuff, but like Craigslist and all that stuff was just not Facebook and Instagram. It just wasn't there when I was in the music scene out in Pennsylvania. So now, that's the stuff that you use to try to find people. Social medias, Craigslist, stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I cannot tell you how many posts I would read. They were like, "Yeah, we're looking to do this. Please, if you're over 30 years old, stop being a creep. Don't contact us." And so I was, I've gotten turned down just for meeting people because of how old I am.
Yeah.
And in my defense, I'm pretty immature for my age.
Oh,
so a lot of people don't. They're like, you're like 27, right? Like, yeah, sure, you know. And so that's kind of why I said that, because let's face it, I wanted to get turned down early if I was going to get turned down. So I was just kind of threw that out there, and we still decided to meet. I think, if I can speak for you, I want to say, I think when I said that I was also from Allentown, you were like, okay, I'm cool. Right? Like, because I was like, dude, I'm from there too, you know?
When you said you went to Freedom High School, I was like, bro, I went to the Votech right next door.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, the tennis courts separated the properties or whatever.
Yeah.
That's just wild. So now, almost a year later, we're still hanging out.
And it's one of those things, like, and again, like, I don't want to keep, if no one here has listened to this podcast before, definitely I would say that Christmas episode, it's called A Colorado Christmas, totally recommend listening to it. It's a great introduction to me and just the podcast as a whole. We talked a lot about our music on there, and we'll dive into it a little bit later on the podcast. I kind of have a section about like friendships and stuff, but yeah, dude, like, it was just crazy. And coming out here, I had a lot of goals. I don't want to say like a lot of goals, but like making new friends was one, and I did that.
Mm-hmm.
A small one, meeting J Stu from YouTube, that was a goal. I did that. We did that together.
Yep,
we met my twin.
Mm-hmm. Which you should look that up on YouTube for anyone who's interested. What was that called?
Free. It was like a free. They did a free
coffee.
donut shop.
Yeah, free. Yeah, it was donuts, not coffee.
We're at the end of the video. You'll know it because there's a guy that looks just like me, beard, long hair, beanie. We had like the same outfit on. It was really weird.
Yeah,
it was one of those.
Hilarious though.
Yeah. But yes, like, I wanted to make new friends. I wanted to start a music project, which we did, and we've done some awesome music. You can check it out on Spotify, YouTube Music, wherever. It's called Sunday Black. It's like, I don't know, how would you classify our stuff? Because I feel like it's like alternative. It's under the alternative umbrella,
right?
But we do a lot of different stuff within it.
So it's interesting because I think Sunday Black has 3 different types of sounds that you'll hear through our music. There is the Matty written songs, the Matt written songs, and then the Matt written songs.
Right.
I think that the best things that we have done have been the songs that we have written together,
100%.
which is Summer Love, Waiting, and now
Tonight. No, that was a Matty song.
Yeah,
So Long Farewell.
Yes, the last one, which is not released yet, or at least currently that we, when we're recording this,
it'll come out in August. So
that's right. And so those 3, I think, show what we do together, and it's very. I think it's just very. It's very mature sounding. It's creative. It doesn't lean too far to one side or the other. You hear the punk influences from my writing style. You hear the more creative influences from you, and not one, because I'm a very intro verse chorus, intro verse chorus, like type bridge chorus outro, and but you hear the creativeness. And I think that those 3 songs are like the best 3 that we've done.
I would
and
agree,
then the Matty songs are more of with the exception of In the Summer, which you wrote, the Matty songs are a little bit more hype and catchy. But then In the Summer is like the hypest song that we've done. And that was a you song. Yeah. But again, it has more creative tones in it, and the way we did the structure for the verses and the bridge, and so but it all still sounds the same. Like you can tell it's the same guys writing the music, but it's kind of cool that with those songs, then you just hear a different voice from whatever perspective and angle we're coming from, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add on to that, we were just talking off air, like, I've had my host of music projects over the years. I have the Union Coffee Break stuff that I used to do. I semi-frequently do it now. It's maybe a song here or there. And then there was the Met stuff, which I did like one EP, and then maybe like a single after that. And that was kind of like right before. That was like a year before coming out here. It was more of like a, I don't know, like how would you describe that stuff? Like it was more like 90s emo-ish kind of.
Honestly, I would say, and no offense, it's not as good as this, you know, but like it was in the Boxcar Racer. Like like it felt very, because that album was Tom's like, I'm gonna do whatever I want, and it's gonna be very me, very, you know, like I'm doing my thing, and obviously Travis was involved, which you get all the really nice like creative drum parts. But I really felt like that was the vibe that I got from Met. It was very like, I didn't think you were trying to do anything specific. You were just doing you, and it was good. I mean, it was half the reason I was cool with meeting with you was that EP. I was like, okay, this is good. Yeah. I mean, that, I think on the way to Starbucks that next day, I was singing. Yeah. What is it? Now I forget. It's Elway, I'm Going Out on Top. Yeah. Whatever that song, the first song on the EP or whatever, and it was so good. Yeah. You know, and you had such a good range of. You had some more hype stuff, and then you had some just very Alkaline Trio. There was one song on it that gave me the trio vibes, and then you had some a more mellow stuff on it, and it was good. It was really good. Yeah, dude. I remember when we exchanged musics on the good old emails. I remember you had said to me at some point after we started hanging out, you were like, yeah, you know, whenever people are like, oh, I got stuff I recorded, and you were like, it's always like junk, you know. Yeah. And then you said you like pulled up Met, and you were like, whoa, like this guy knows what he's doing, and I was like, yes, I do. Thank you. But yeah, so like I have my whole host of music projects that I've done. Are they home?
Guess who's home? We're going to have an episode in season 5 called Neighbors from Hell. So if you want to be on that,
I would love to.
Yeah, well,
I got some stories I could tell.
Sweet.
Yeah, sure.
But either way, yeah. So like my host of musical endeavors, and it's like when, you know, the cool thing about working with Matty has been, this is like the first like serious music project I've really done with someone else. Like my friend John and I back home, we would write songs, but it would never go anywhere. We never even like we recorded one song, and then like everything just kind of like, because he always had his main projects, and it just never lined up. So like this was the most consistently I've done music with someone. And it's cool because I was just saying off air, you can hear, like I was listening to Freshly Brewed today, and it's like, you can tell it's not just me writing the songs. Like you can hear, like you were saying, that mesh of both. Even like the ones that are like more me songs. Like I wrote pretty much all of Retrospective, and you just jumped in. Or like when like Dead Celebrity, I jumped in and wrote a verse, and I wrote a lead guitar, and that was you know, we collaborated on that bridge too. But like that was like a you song. I remember you putting that in our Google Drive folder right away, and I was like, this. I remember being like, specifically out of all the videos you put up, this is the one.
What, Dead Celebrity?
Yeah, the acoustic Dead Celebrity, and I was like, oh my god! I was like, this guy is cool. You know, that was the one for me.
That's cool.
So
yeah, you never told me that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So, but it's like you can totally hear our influences and our skill sets coming together in what we do. That's really cool, dude. So yeah, so I wanted to, and we're gonna circle around to Sunday Black in a second, but just to round out this section of what a year it's been. Make new friends, start a music project. I wanted to adopt a dog, which I touched on in the last episode. His name's Darby. He's sleeping behind me right now. He's the best boy. I love this guy to death.
He's pretty cool.
And I wanted to get my writing published, which I also touched on. And it's just, you know, last week we were talking, we went to In and Out, and I was like, dude, like, it's crazy to think about everything, like how fast this year's gone, but everything that's happened. Right. And it, like, I summed it up. I think I just said off the cuff, I was like, it was a beautiful year. Like, and it's just, it's crazy because, you know, every year has its ups and downs, right? Like, I hated my job. Right. Our apartment sucks. Like, and it's not even because of, like, it's not a dirty apartment. There's no bugs or, you know, rats or anything. It's the assholes upstairs. And these
it's weirdos, the homeless people across the street.
The weirdos from the motels next door. Like, but other than that, like, I mean, like, I was rattling off all these things that we did. You know, me and Kayla and you and I and all of us together, and it's just like, man, it was a really cool year. You know, and I just, I don't know. It's very like we were talking about last week. I was getting kind of like choked up about it because it's like a chapter's kind of coming to an end now, and this time in my life I think we'll always have this. It'll be one of those like where you get one of those points in time where you have it's like a special place in your heart, and you're just like, man, that was cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm gonna try and come out once a year though.
I'm cool with it.
And we're talking about doing a Sunday Black recording trip.
We are, and that needs to happen.
We were talking about that. So maybe to do a full length, maybe like 8 songs, 10 songs.
Yeah,
if we
something
can
like that. It would be cool to just for people listening, and just to give some context, like the way Matt and I write is we write in different ways, but for the most part, we get together, we either write something together or we show the other, the thing that we've written, and then we just create the song. We get I don't know, a 60% done blueprint of what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And then we the next week record the instrumental stuff, and it's a lot of just like us, hey, how do you like this tone? How do you like this rhythm? We never write bass lines. We make those up. I actually don't know if I can play any of our bass stuff like from memory, because I just make it up as we're recording. And so it's it's a really cool process, but we do that usually one day, and then we try to do vocals the next day.
Yep. We work quick.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. So it would be cool to have 4 or 5 days of literally just sleeping, eating,
making music for 10 hours a day.
Yeah. And just, a lot of our current and past experiences come out in our music, and so it'd just be cool just to get together and not have to, go anywhere. And because we have so much going on in our lives, both being married, both having jobs. I've got three kids, 2 of them live at home with me, and you have a dog, and so it'd be cool just to try to do that for a week or something.
I know we were throwing around like because I initially looked at what's halfway between here and Pennsylvania. And it came up as like some small town in Illinois, and you were like, well, we should go somewhere that's like inspiring and has really good food. So my mind came down to New York City, Philadelphia, or I had the thought of Nashville.
Nashville would be cool too.
Yeah, that would be like a 12-hour drive for me, but I mean, I've done 9 hours by myself before.
I actually know a lot of people in Nashville.
Really?
Yeah.
Just rent out an Airbnb. Dude, I was looking at this Airbnb in New York City, right? And it was this super cool looking place. The girl had so many. She basically like wanted people that were staying there to just like sit in one place and not do anything. It was like no noise, no this, no that, no. And I was like, nah.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
This is not going to work.
This is New York City. You're supposed to be rough and, tough and cool. And it was like, if you have more than 2 people, I'm charging you extra per night. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. So I was thinking too, and this was another idea. So my friend Pete is trying to get into like being a producer. He's the one that took the pictures for my book.
Okay. So he came out recently.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to meet him.
Shout out to Pete. So he has like a media company he's trying to start up, Longshot Digital Media. Shout out, please sponsor me. And he's trying to get into producing it. His band, My Cousin's Girlfriend's House, is actually recording with one of the guitarists from the Wonder Years right now.
That's cool.
Matt Bratch,
That's cool.
They're recording with him, and Pete was telling me while he was here, he was saying like him and Matt have developed this friendship, and it's funny because that's like Pete's all-time favorite band is like, if it's not Blink-182, it's the Wonder Years.
That's cool.
And he said like hanging out with Matt and recording with him, Matt actually said to him like, you have a really good ear for this, like have you ever thought about being a producer? So Pete's gonna potentially start working with Matt on like producing with him in his studio.
That's cool.
So, and this is going to be, I don't know when we're looking at doing this trip, because in the next year I'm working on this book and we're going to be doing a short film for it. So Pete's going to be shooting that. But I was like, what if Pete came down with me and did a little documentary, and not only that, helped produce our record?
Yeah, and that's kind of funny that we're talking about this while recording this, but I'd actually thought about that too. Is how cool would it be if we didn't have to do all of the production and we just could be like writing and someone else could be the one kind of hitting record and stuff and doing all that. Would be cool, man. I would really like that.
Pete's a good dude. I love Pete.
So Pete's not in food truck, right? That's somebody else.
Yeah, it's John. Pete is Aaron's brother that we did the podcast with.
Okay. Aaron was cool.
Yeah, Aaron. I love Aaron. He's such a good dude.
Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting him.
But yeah, so I don't know. So that's something we got in the works. Whenever we figure that out and we get that all together, and we even, we're talking about still doing music, even though we're gonna be like so far apart now too. And I was like, even if we start getting those demos together, like over Google Chats or something, and then when that trip comes, like obviously we can write songs there, but if we have ideas to at least bring to the table, and I've always loved, and I've talked about it on so many podcasts, the Blink-182 documentary where they did the Untitled album and they were in that house and they basically went in with nothing.
Right.
And it took them 2 months. And Blink, like when they did Enema of the State, they wrote that album in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they recorded it in like 3 days and then it was done.
Yeah.
The Untitled album, they went in, it took them 2 months to write I Miss You and Feeling This.
Yeah.
Which is insane to think about, but that's cool.
Yeah.
So no, I definitely think that would be super cool to do a little Sunday Black recording trip. I'm all for it. But yeah, so we talked about the formation. We've talked about God, I can't even read my own handwriting. So let's talk about waiting.
Okay.
Because I know you said that's like that was like one of the essentials, right?
Yeah.
Waiting. And dude,
seems to be one of the favorites.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
A lot of people at least say to me,
yeah,
Waiting's my favorite.
It's interesting, that song, for those who don't know, and I mean, if you haven't listened to it, definitely go check it out. That was the first song we ever wrote. And we talked about it on the Christmas episode where, I came over and Allie got up early.
Took a crap right on the right on the floor.
That was awesome. That's an iconic moment.
Yeah.
And it was funny because you were kind of like, you said you were kind of like freaking out in the back of your head because you're like, oh my God. And the whole time I'm just like, dude, it's cool. I got a niece and a nephew. I have a niece and a nephew.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. She's like talking to me and we're like, all right, so what are we doing here? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. Okay, so what do you... And it's like, that was such an interesting day because the first time I jam with people, it's always really uncomfortable. I don't know about you, but because it's that whole thing of like, what if it doesn't work?
Right.
And then you don't want to hurt these people's feelings.
Yeah.
Because I knew you and I got along really well. Like I remember coming home from our coffee date and being like, Kayla, this is freaking awesome. Like this guy is super cool. But then I was
it was the same thing with me and my wife, Brittany. Yeah.
And I was just like, oh man, like what if we start jamming and I'm just like, oh no, I don't like this, and like I'm the type of person, I'm so bad at like not wanting to let people down.
Right.
But no, I just started riffing. I started playing some like Dave Grohl. It's the post chorus of the song. I started playing some, it kind of reminded me of like Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl. You started playing a rhythm under it, and I think you started writing a verse, and then I wrote a chorus, and it was like, wow, like it just boom, there it is.
And we did that within an hour. Within an hour. With a child crapping on the floor.
Yes.
And for those who don't know, my daughter's crazy. She's wild.
What kids aren't?
Yeah. Yeah. That's Everly, my other child. but yeah, Allie's wild. But it just worked. And to go back to you were just saying about when you first play with someone, it's awkward. I know that this may be crossing the line, but like playing music is like having sex with someone. It is
it's very valid.
It's very intimate, and it's you have your things and the other person has their things. And so you're for the very first time you're just trying to present the best version of yourself, but at the same time, if they don't like it, you're gonna like be depressed about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so,
did it make you uncomfortable at all that I showed up wearing diapers?
Yeah.
I should, guys. I walked straight up to this dude's house. Just, I was wearing some Depends, and I was like, dude, I got a problem.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry. So
I'm totally into it though.
All right. So, anyways, you're talking about your first band.
Yeah. So my first band, I was hanging out with this guy named Ian, and he was a really good drummer. I was just learning to kind of play electric guitar. I'd played acoustic for years, but was really trying to get into like playing punk music and like Homegrown and Blink and stuff like that. And, but I wasn't any good, and I had never really played with someone else. And Ian was nice enough to humor me and play along with me as a drummer, but I could tell he was bored to death. Like
that's kind of how it was with my friend John and
yeah.
I. Yeah.
It's just weird. And then him and I went to a show and saw this band play called Rent to Own.
Okay.
And this guy named Chris Clark was their bass player. And out of all the guys, and Rent to Own, now this was back in 2005, so this is a while ago, 18 years ago, but back during that time, all those guys were pretty decent musicians, but there was something about the way Chris played, and he had a couple of songs in the band, and his song structure and stuff. We were both really intrigued by him.
Yeah.
And Ian told me, we had never talked about starting a band. Ian told me we should start a band with that guy.
Interesting.
And so then I was kind of like trying to be cool and like, yeah, bro, let's do it. But on the inside, I'm like, no, I'm terrified. Like I'm not a good guitar player. And,
yeah.
And so we end up. And by the way, shout out to Chris Clark. Check out his band, the Offset Era. They're based out of Florida. They're pretty good. They have some new music coming out currently, and yeah, he's still plugging away.
That's awesome.
Playing punk music. But anyway, so we end up scheduling a jam session with Chris, and again, I'm like super nervous, and Chris comes over with his guitar, and basically I was ready to leave. I was ready to walk out the door, and I was like, all right, man, I'm just not that good. Sorry. I don't want to waste your time. I'll let you guys jam and I'll peace out. And he was like, can you play a power chord? And I was kind of knew what that was, and I was like this, and, and strumming. And he was like, yeah, can you play this? And then this, and then this, and then this. And he shows me this chord progression, and I'm like, yeah, kind of strumming along. And he's like, can you play this rhythm? Dun, 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 and I'm like, yeah. And I do that. He goes, all right, cool. Just keep playing that. And so I started, this is a rhythm and a tempo I've never done before, but I'm doing it for the very first time. And he says, Ian, do you have a beat for that? And Ian just comes in and and I'm just like, okay, this is cool. And then he starts playing lead over it, and we write a song in like 5 minutes, our first song as a group. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then within a few weeks, we had like 7 songs written, and we started playing shows like 3 weeks after that.
That's cool. That's super cool.
And we practiced like 3 or 4 times a week, but yeah, like it is a very intimate experience. But when you find the right people,
exactly,
that think very similar, and that's the cool thing about you and I is we think differently, but that there are things that overlap.
Yeah.
In our writing style, and I think that's where Sunday Black kind of comes out.
Yeah, and it's one of the really cool things too is like when you're talking about our differing mindsets, like you were saying, you're very just like you have that kind of, not, I don't want to call it a formula because it makes it sound cheap, but like you have that kind of structure that you kind of write within, like maybe subconsciously. But then like when you were saying about my more creative side, I feel like that's the producer in me, because like making music for, like we've both been making music for a long time, but like for me with recording and like being into that field, I'm always like, okay, what can we do here? What can we do there? And especially like studying other producers and stuff, like Jerry Finn. He did a lot of the Blink records, and he's legendary. He did a lot of Alkaline Trio records, and like some of the best trio records. You know, and like even, you know, I don't know. There's so many records I could name off, like The Cure, and but like I'm always like, you know, I'm always looking for that. Like, how can we take this to the next level?
Right.
You know, what can we do here? And I think Summer Love is a really, really good example of that.
Yeah.
Like, I came up with a bass riff. You walked in to record like Waiting or something like that, and I had my bass 6 out, and I just started riffing, and I was playing along to an Angels and Airwaves song.
Right.
And then that stopped, and I just started, and you were like, what is that? You know, and then we built this song around the bass riff, and I was like, all right, we need to, like, I'm hearing like a really tight, small drum kit, and like the bass and the vocals are like, even the guitars aren't that prominent in that song. Like, they're there, but it's really the bass and the vocals that drive that song.
We came up with like the structure of it, I think, that first day. And then I remember you came over to my house the next week or the week after or something like that, and then we were sitting out on the porch because it was a beautiful sunny day,
the vibes,
and then that's when I came up with the chorus for it. And I feel this rush inside my head, you know, and it was like, it just fit. Like, I think I was working on it for a few minutes, and finally it just kind of came out. And again, we had my kids just hanging out. Just
was that the time that Everly fell on her head?
It probably was. Yeah, you know. And and then to go, I want to backtrack for a second to go back to Waiting, the current version.
That's the second version.
The second version.
Yeah, for those who don't know, we re-recorded that song.
Yeah, the first time was a little weird. It was like a worship song. It sounded like, with this big, the chorus is pretty much the exact same. Yeah. And the bridge is the exact same. But the tempo was quite a few BPM slower.
I think the original tempo was like 120 or 130, and I think it's like 180 or 190 now.
Yeah. Yeah, so very different tempo speed or whatever. But the verses were very worship songy, you know.
Phil Wickham came over and he helped us record.
Pretty much. I wish.
Switchfoot was here too, you know.
Yeah.
Newsboys were somewhere in there. They helped write the bridge. But no, yeah, dude. And you know what's funny? Like, I had this whole idea for this song because we'd only been playing it acoustic for like, I think honestly we started jamming in August, and it was early September. I have videos of us recording that song. Yep. It was Labor Day weekend because we went to the liftoff that night.
That's right.
And it was funny because I was like, all right, so like since we've been doing this acoustic, like the whole worship thing, I was like, all right, I want to have like, even though we're going to have electrics, I want the acoustic to be there in the center of it all. And then as we listened to the song more, like we recorded it, and of course you have that rush of like, this is sick, like this is And then as we listened to it more, I was like, dude, the verses sound like very country because of this twangy acoustic. Yeah. And you even did the second verse, and you got to the point where you were just like, it's too much like vocals for you. And I was like, well, and I'm at work one day, and I was like, oh, I got this second verse, and I kind of took.
That's right.
I took some of the second verse that you wrote, and I wrote my own stuff around it.
That's right. I have totally forgotten about that.
And I was like, dude, how would you feel about me taking that second verse? And you were like, go for it. And then I played it for you, and you were like, yep, let's do it. You know, and I feel like it makes the song more evenly split too.
It does, and that's kind of the cool thing with there's a lot of bands that can't do two vocalists very well, especially in this type of genre. It's usually the you know, these are Tom songs, these are Mark songs, you know, but the times that they do have the split songs, those are their best, you know. Yeah. And I think you and I were really I think we talked about this during coffee, that we didn't want to do that. Like we wanted to be able to split. Yeah. And I think for me, it was like, so I think the best thing that I have going for me is I think I'm actually a really good songwriter.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm not a great vocalist. And we know this for a fact from our recording sessions. Yeah, like when I'm recording vocals, it is not a good time.
How many times did I have you sing Hoping on the OG version of Waiting. Matty was struggling so hard because the tempo, since it was slower, like I remember when we redid
like
Waiting.
Hoping.
Yeah, we like blew through that because obviously we had been playing the song for so long, but then it was like it was a faster tempo. It just rolled off your tongue more. And I remember that the first iteration. I was like, do it again. And we finally got one where I was like, okay, I'm okay with this. And then even still, we were like, no. Like,
well, and you actually said yes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
In the background, you can hear, obviously this is B-side stuff that we have now, but you can hear Matt, I say Hoping, and you hear Matt go, yes.
Yeah.
Like on the recording. But yeah, it's and just to update people, for bands, I've never done vocals ever, and I did some singing like in some bands that we never recorded stuff, but I've never been in front of a microphone and recorded my voice. Yeah, and so Matt's been kind of part of this whole process of like me figuring out like a lot of things. Like even you remember when I came to you one day and I was like, so I figured out I can't sing in the key of E.
Yeah.
You know, or very well.
We did this song called Time, and it was going to be part of our summer demo. And it was a song I previously released, and I was like, what about, like, it fits our vibe, we'll just re-record it, we'll throw a verse in for you. And you were like, yeah, that's awesome. And then as soon as it came to vocals, it was just like,
it was a train wreck.
You were struggling. You got like frustrated, and you were like, yeah, it's good. Let me just practice it more over the week. And then you were like, dude, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Waiting is in E, and obviously we had a little bit more struggle with that song, but like that second time, and it was probably like the muscle memory, knowing, your body remembering how to sing it. But Time was that we ended up not doing that one because it was just. It became a me song, and I was like, because you were like, "Oh, are we gonna put Time?" And I was like, "Nah, dude, like there's not enough you on it." So yeah.
It's been a process. Yeah, figuring out how to do vocals in a group setting, and so I think I knew that when we met for coffee, and I was like, yeah, both of us can sing equally, or you can sing everything because but it's been fun though.
Yeah, and I think talking about that whole split thing too, like, and not to beat a dead horse, but like we really wanted the project to be a mesh of both of us. Like that was my big thing when we were talking about that. I was like, I want it to be a collaboration, not just because I've known people before. I've seen there's so many bands and artists out there where it's like one person writes all the music and everyone just performs it, which is like, that's cool and that works for some people, but that's not what I wanted to do. And I think we really, really executed what we wanted to do well. And I mean, we're still going to in the future because like we're working on, doing that cross country demoing and stuff, but like I think that we've got a really, really good foundation and a really good like system for how we do things.
And the product is good,
and it's one of those things that keeps getting better and better. Like I just listening to Freshly Brewed, the EP, I mean there's some bangers on there, there's some heaters, but when you go from that to Tonight, to Endless Summer, and now to
So Long Farewell. Yeah, I forgot what the song was for a second. Evita, like, say goodbye.
You can see that, like, just that. I don't want to say increase in quality, but just that like jump up every new track. It's like and I mean I think too, like with Freshly Brewed, it was just quick. Like, okay, I found this really good preset on bias effects that we're gonna use for every song, and then we switched out guitars. Like we used the Tom DeLonge Strat on one song, but like with all our new stuff, we've been miking my Boss Katana, and the guitars are like infinitely better.
Right.
And so I don't know, there's just, I don't want this to be a recording nerd podcast because not everyone, but it's been really cool. But to culminate all of this, I have something special for you.
Oh, it's under the bed.
So
we're recording this in Matt's bedroom.
Yeah, we're actually in the bed right now. We have no pants on. So
Brittany, he's not joking.
She wouldn't be surprised. I don't think she would be surprised. So to culminate this year-long journey, and these will be available on the Fueled by Coffee shop coming up this fall. I want to gift you the first official licensed Sunday Black T-shirt.
What? All right, so this is like an unboxing, but there's no box, so it's an unbagging.
Yeah, for those who can't see with their ears.
You want that? No, we probably shouldn't give you that.
Don't put it on your head, Darby. We need you.
All right, so it's okay. So it's black. Just so everyone knows, dude, this is perfect. All right, so it's got a coffee cup on it.
Shout out to Kayla for designing it.
Sunday Black on
Yes.
the what's the thing called that this is supposed to be?
See, I was calling it a heat sleeve, but
Yeah.
Kayla was saying it was something else. I don't know. For the little sleeve that goes on so you don't burn yourself.
Yeah, and it says Sunday. Oh my gosh, dude.
So I got one too. I was gonna wear it under this shirt and then take this shirt off.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. So Sunday Black shirts will be
man.
Absolutely, man. The shirts will be available on the Fueled by Coffee shop this fall when the new merch line drops.
That's awesome. So I've never told you this, but I have a thing that I have a really hard time wearing new T-shirts.
Yeah.
I have to wash them first.
Me too.
But I'm gonna wear this tonight because we're double dating tonight.
Should I wear mine?
You totally should.
They'll think we're together.
Yep. I'm gonna break my rule and wear my own band's shirt. Oh my gosh, that's great.
The great thing, I'm going to give a huge shout out to Printful right now. So for those who don't know, our merch was sourced through Teespring previously. They were bought at the end of 2022. I ordered a sample of one of the new podcast t-shirts, and the design was faded. The colors were off. It looked awful. One wash. I turned the sucker inside out. I washed it. I don't wash in hot water. I use cold water. The design started flaking off after one wash.
Yeah, you're telling me.
And the shirt too. Like my mom and Pete, and they've bought shirts before. My dog is licking me. Darby, stop it. They have bought shirts, and they're like solid quality. They're like that nice, like thick, like Gildan cotton, like what these are. This new shirt that they're sending out, it's like thin. It's like that soft material they get really hot in. I don't know if you have that. I'm really weird about t-shirts.
Yeah.
But like, it's just a junky shirt. So I switched over to Printful, and Printful you can do free samples. Once a month you can do a sample order of 3 items and you get 20% off. Like it's
cool.
awesome. And the shirts are great quality. Like I still turn mine inside out, but it still looks perfect. So
yeah, this feels like it's good quality.
Yeah, it's a nice Gildan 5000.
I like that.
But yeah, no, I'm super stoked on the new merch, and yeah, dude. So for those who are listening, Sunday Black T-shirts will be available along with all the Fueled by Coffee merch that is coming out, and there will be a DSB Poetry T-shirt on there too. So
yeah, that'll
be cool. But yeah, dude, I also have something a little special for you when we're off the air, because I don't want you to be erect on air. But
I was about to say pornographic.
Oh my God, Darby.
Well, and the other thing I want to touch on this real quick is that, like, it's actually probably going back to your us meeting and becoming friends and stuff. You and I just have. I feel like we had a rhythm that we just fell into as soon as we met for coffee. And Sunday Black is named after our first coffee.
Mm-hmm. It was almost Sunday coffee date.
Yeah, really, it really was.
Yeah.
And because we both talked about music for the first time, talked about life, and we talked about a lot of things. We even had a deep conversation because for those of you that don't know, Dead Celebrities about a friend of mine who killed himself. Mm-hmm. And so that was like my way of like coping and writing that song about Jamie.
Yeah.
Because Jamie is a real person.
Yeah.
It's not just some name I came up with, and he really did have guitar and cigarettes. That's like the only thing he had. Had to his name, but like we even talked about that, and I remember coming home and saying to my wife, like, I'm pretty sure I just found my new best friend.
Yeah.
And she was like, no way. And that was 11 months ago. And so
it's crazy.
It's been a really cool journey for the past year.
Yeah.
And doing that kind of stuff.
It's cool too, because I think we talked about this at In and Out last week, but like good friendships are those that are just like, obviously, like there are people who are good friends and there's people that you love hanging out with, but like you get those friends in your life, you might have one, you might have 10, people who like, you just get each other and it's just easy. Like, like we talked about how many times, I was exhausted from not sleeping because of my work and my neighbors. And I was like, or you with like work or dealing with stuff. And it's like, man, I want to cancel. It's a Saturday. But then like we get together and it's just like that magic spark and it just ignites that fire. Like it's easy. It feels good. And it leaves you feeling like energized, Right. The friendships like that are awesome and they don't come every day. Right. It's one of I was telling my mom about it and I was like, you don't meet people like that every day. Right. It's really special. And just like, dude, like even talking about the whole, like everything we've done, like not even just music, but like, look at all the stuff we did. Like, so like I said, you came over to record Waiting. And then I remember you were just like nonchalantly, what are you doing tonight? Oh, nothing. Oh, well, there's this hot air balloon festival. You want to go? Yeah, sure. Right. And we went and that's like one of my huge, like key memories from here is like just this random bunch of hot air balloons sitting in the middle of a park across town.
That's all it is.
And they're like, all it is. And there was that funk band playing. You remember that?
Yeah, and they were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were playing like...
Didn't they play John Mayer at some point? I remember hearing John Mayer.
I think they did, yeah. They were just really good, and I don't remember what band that was, but
I don't either,
they're excellent. Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, Colorado Springs is this thing called the Balloon Glow, and it's over Labor Day weekend every single year. And what they do is they do balloon launches in the morning. Yeah. So it's like at sunrise. You got to get there early, and we went. We went that Monday. Yeah. So a day or two later.
Yeah.
We went and we took the girls and watched the balloons lift off or whatever. So that's really cool. And a lot of people do that, but because it's so early, it's a more select group that gets up and goes. You don't see as many kids there, because it's early in the morning. But the Balloon Glow at night is really cool because they just they have these balloons laying on the ground basically, and they just light them up to keep them kind of inflated. Yeah, and there's a bunch of food. There's a ton of people. There's live music, and it's just, it's just a really unique festival that we do, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so that's when I want to come out for next year. It's okay, Matty. I like when your feet touch mine.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm always into it.
No, I want to definitely next year come out for that. I want to do the glow, and then I want to actually see the liftoff because I was at work.
Yeah, that's right. You were.
I remember I saw you guys did it, and I was like, damn, here I am making donuts. But yeah, no, for sure, dude. Yeah, the liftoff, like I don't know. It's such a like, it's that whole like the lyric in Waiting where I'm like lightning in a bottle. Like it's like things like that, or like I have written down here like, hey, what are you guys doing the night before Thanksgiving? Oh, we got to prep a little bit. Why? You want to come over? Yeah, sure. And then like we had grilled cheese and
played Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Whooped their ass.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Or even just looking at our like stupid little like Jersey Mike's dates. Like that was our spot. Rip to Jersey Mike's on Garden of the Gods Road. Yes. That place disappeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, what happened?
Goat. I don't know.
What happened? Yeah, that was kind of our spot. We'd go and talk about life and
but yeah, dude, it's crazy. Just all the things you think about, and it's really cool. And it's like one of the things too I was thinking about, like with us meeting, like it's first of all, it's so weird that. So, like, obviously, we were talking last week. You've lived all over the country. You said you're not really from anywhere. You're from everywhere. Right. But the fact that you spent, a few years where I grew up, right, and you went to high school there for a little bit, and it's just crazy. And, like, even though we're, 15 years apart, like, you could technically be my dad. I always call Matty Dad for those who don't know. Even in public, I'm like, thanks, Dad. Like you.
Because I'm always paying. Yeah. Let me get that for you, son.
But yeah. Even today, I'm like, I'm getting us coffee. Are you sure? And I'm like, yes, dude, I got it. I got this, bro. Don't worry. But no, it was like, it's one of those things I think about, all these like weird connecting points. And like, I'm not so much a believer in past lives. You know, people talk about like, oh, in my past life I was a gypsy, and it's like, okay, whatever. Yeah. But like, it's one of those things where you have those connecting moments with people, like where it's almost like you knew each other in a past life. Like Kayla, when I met her, I felt like I knew her forever.
Right. Yeah, same with Brittany.
Yeah, and like with meeting, and there's so many people I've, you know, I don't want to say so many, but there's a few people I've had this with, and like meeting you, it's almost like I felt like we were like related in a past life. Like there was something that just brought us together, you know?
Yeah.
It could have just been coincidence. It could have just been, who knows what it is, you know? We're not the ultimate writer of the universe, but it's like, it's one of those cool things where it's just, you know, it was special. Oh God, I'm making it sound like we're never going to talk again after this, but
I know, right?
But it's been like a special ride, and I'm looking forward to like where it goes next for sure.
Let me tangent off of that for a second. I think that a lot of times people are either in relationships or in friendships that, romantic relationships, or even just regular friendship relationships where they don't know why they're friends, or they don't know why they're in that relationship, you know. Relationships can have seasons where they're difficult, you know,
no doubt,
but it shouldn't be hard, ever. And that's really the thing that I appreciate about our friendship, is it's just very easy.
Yeah.
You know, like I didn't do music before I met you, really because I couldn't find anyone who would want to do it and respect the fact that I have a wife and kids.
Yeah.
You know, like that was the biggest thing. And I remember we talked about that when we had coffee that first day. Because a lot of people, they just want to record everything they have, and they want to hit the road, and I just couldn't do it. You know, like, what are you laughing at?
I think you know who I'm laughing at.
Oh yeah, I do. Okay,
he turned out to be a waste of time. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, you know, I wanted to do something I love, but I wanted to do it in the way that I love doing it, leisurely. And
that's what I wanted too, man.
And so we kind of found that together, and we haven't done as much as we had planned. We had planned on doing another, you know, several songs, but
and for a while we were rehearsing to do like some open mics and maybe throw some sort of a show together, and then, you know, like, just life started happening,
and work, and then my 16-year-old Caden came out and stayed with us for 6 weeks, and so between that and work and stuff, things got interesting for a while. But
I mean, like, who's to say there's not an opportunity for that in the future? Like, if you guys ever come out to PA, I know Pete would be down to throw a show with everyone. Pete would even probably play drums for us. Pete's a really good drummer, dude, and he would totally do it because he loves Sunday Black. Every time we put a new song out, he's like, dude, like, that's Endless Summer. I didn't even text, like, I think it just popped up because he's following us, and he was like, dude, Endless Summer's a banger, dude. And I was like, thanks, man, I really appreciate that.
My brother-in-law told me that today because I was helping him move.
That's awesome.
So shout out to Levi Grant. But he was like, every time I hear one of you guys' songs, I'm just like, man, this is good, you know.
That's
and
awesome.
That's a nice. It's just a good feeling.
Yeah, dude.
When you know it's not that. I'm telling you it's good because I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, because we all know what they mean. You know, like, okay, you hate this, but thank you for being nice to my soul. You know.
Yeah.
But it's always cool to have someone actually say, yeah, I really enjoy the music you write, you know. And the guys that work for me, they all listen. They'll give me a courtesy listen when something drops, and none of them really like our music because they like more like Post Malone, hip hop,
like emo rap, hip hop,
stuff like that. And but they all will like and share and give me some feedback, and it's all, you know. And the one that they like the most is Summer Love and Waiting. Those are the two that I get compliments on.
It's funny. That's what Pete still says, that Summer Love is like, he thinks that's like the quintessential Sunday Black track. And
that's kind of cool.
Pete's, like I said, like pop punk, like aficionado.
Yeah.
And for him, he was like, dude, Summer Love, he's like, I remember when that EP dropped, he's like, that's like the most unique song. He's like, it's just so like, it's its own thing. And so like, yeah, that's really cool. And that's one of those songs too, like I really loved it when we recorded it, and then I remember there was a little while where I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know, man, like I don't know how I feel about this one. I think it was because we hadn't really come up with a way to play it acoustically, and since we have since then. But now it's like I listen to that song and I almost get choked up because I'm like, that was another like lightning in a bottle thing where it was just it's a special song, and it's super 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 cool. We got
and what in that song is so a little background, both of us didn't have great experiences with relationships before, and so Summer Love is about like really the first moments with our now wives, and
and what's even interesting about that, not to cut you off, but like so I remember I wrote the verses for that song and I came to you with it, and it's one of those great songs where people can apply it to anything, because like it is a very much like a relationship song, but like for me, I remember it, I was like, I almost felt like Switchfoot at the time, because I was like, this is like kind of a God song, but then like it is just about really like any like intimate relationship you have with a person, like a serious intimate relationship.
Right. And that's I guess we could give everyone a sneak peek to So Long Farewell. That song is about you moving back to PA, and about our relationship. And
how crazy is it that we wrote that, how quick we did?
Yeah, so we got together. What's the story behind that? So we got together that day and was I running late? I was running late that day, wasn't I?
A little bit, yeah.
And then we were like, hey, it's really not, and it was like one of those like 75-degree days,
not
blue
a cloud in the sky.
It was such a beautiful day.
A quintessential Colorado day.
Yeah, in the middle of, was that June or July? So it's supposed to be hot, but so for context though, in 2023, Colorado has had insane amount of rain. So we've had a prolonged spring and not so much of a summer. And we just in the last week and a half have gotten into those really 90-degree days. But yeah, it was just this beautiful day, and we were like, oh, let's go get some Dutch, and then let's go write a song someplace outside. Well, then I was like, oh, I got the spot, Garden of the Gods. And so we get there, and it's tourist city, right? You think they're giving away kebabs or something. and then we're starting to drive like into the park, and you're like, yeah, they have these rules, and I haven't been there for a while, and they have these rules that you can't go off the path, and I'm like, well, the spot I was going to take us is off the path. Screw this. I'm out. And so I flip a Yui, and we go to this park. There's nobody there. And we find this huge tree. It's got some shade. We sit under it. And
threw the blanket down.
Picnic
basket.
The picnic basket. Yeah, all the things, the rom-com things. And I want to say we were writing lyrics within 15 minutes.
It was one of those, like, one of us came up with you came up with that really good pre-chorus. And then I was like, okay, what if we use this as a verse?
Right.
And that, like, it was just like, we just kept coming up with part after part after part. And we were writing lyrics minutes later.
Super quick.
And it's crazy because, too, we had missed like a month prior. So, like, the week before that, we had gotten coffee just to catch up because it had been so long. Which, I mean, a month.
That is right.
A month doesn't sound like a long time to normal people. But, like, when you see someone every single week and you're working on something every single week, a month is like a year, So I was like, let's just get coffee. And then the week after, that's when we went and wrote that song. And it's crazy to think, like, we didn't work on anything for 5 weeks, and then we just sat down and wrote this banger in 20 minutes or whatever.
And it's so good. It's actually already one of my favorite songs that we've written. And again, it's in those three of Waiting, Summer Love, and now So Long Farewell. But it's about, that song is about having someone else in your life that makes your life a little bit better. It's really what that song is about, I think.
Absolutely.
And that I went through this thing with me and my wife. We were heavily a part of this one church for several years. And just for our own personal reasons, Nothing against that church. We just decided to leave, right? We just decided to go someplace else and kind of, be in a different community. And I actually had people saying goodbye to me.
Yeah.
Like getting text messages like, I heard you left the church and, please remember me. And I'm like, we live in the same city, bro.
Yeah,
like, are you serious right now? And people that I thought we were friends, and we didn't get anything nasty, but it was just kind of weird where, it's like, oh, where you're leaving my vicinity.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore I have to say goodbye.
Yeah.
And I just don't think, that friendships have to be like that. Like you can have people in your life that we may not talk to
mm-hmm.
every week,
mm-hmm.
But when you do see them, you just kind of always fall back into that rhythm, which is always fun and exciting. And it's been we got a good thing, bro. We have a good friendship,
and it's cool.
Which is fun.
Like So Long Farewell, it's like that goodbye for now but not forever song, because obviously we want to keep making music. We got some technicalities to figure out. I'm trying to teach Matty the ropes. Oh my god, trying to teach him the ropes to recording, and just so he can so we can send stuff back and forth and I can get tracks together for us. But once we get that figured out, and once we get this recording trip kind of set, it'll be cool to see what comes next. I'm mm-hmm. interested to see where our songwriting goes, because we could do so much, and especially if Pete's there helping with producing or whatever. We'd be fine on our own because we've been doing it for how long, but I think to have, because Pete, and even just to document it, I don't know, but that it'll be cool to see what comes after So Long Farewell. But
and it's just it's a chapter, it's a chapter that's closing, and which is really exciting. I'm bummed.
Yeah, dude, me too.
But it's gonna be cool to see, and that's why a recording trip would be fun, because then we'd get together and we would just have this time just to do art together. And and that was a little side note. We recorded a song with a buddy of mine. He operates under the name Coda Marikai.
Mm-hmm.
Check his stuff out on major
everywhere.
Everywhere. But Coda, basically, he sings on the track. It's called These Things Anyway. These Things Happen. What is it called?
Yeah.
These Things Happen. But that was kind of cool because we got to get together and just create. We hadn't really written anything. Mm-hmm. We had no lyrics.
Yeah.
And we drove up to this place and we just did something. Now,
mm-hmm.
is it my favorite track we've ever done?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I know it's not your favorite track we've ever done.
Yeah. And to throw in there, I love Nate, dude. Hanging out with Nate was
so much fun.
He's an awesome dude. I would love to just kick back and watch the Birds with him.
Yeah.
The Birds being the Eagles for my non-football fans, because he's an Eagles fan. I would love to just kick back, watch the Eagles, just hang out with him. He was super cool. But it was one of those tracks where I had so much fun recording it. I was exhausted by the end of that day. We've talked about that, how much we ate afterwards.
Yeah, because it was like a marathon.
I got so I worked at 3:00, so I was up at 2:00 in the morning that day. You got here as soon as I got home. It was noon. I literally rolled in, got changed while you're standing right there in the bedroom. We drove up to Castle Rock.
We got
Chick-fil-A on the way, but then, dude, by 6 p.m., I was like, guys, I'm starving again. And then I came home and I made the fattest peanut butter sandwich I've had in a long time. And then you were like, I got 6 tacos and guac.
Because there's a Fuzzy's right down the street here.
Taco shop,
if you could throw a football hard enough, you could hit that Fuzzy's.
Yes.
And I went there and I almost couldn't order because I was so hungry. She was like, what do you want? And I was like, everything.
Yeah.
And you could tell this girl hates her job. She'd probably been there all day, worked the double or whatever. And she's rolling her eyes at me like she didn't care. But I ordered a ton of food and I ate all of it.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I had burned so many calories.
And it's one of those songs too, because it was a collaboration. Like Matty said, it's when worlds collide kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of where I fell off of this song is I almost felt like it didn't sound enough like Sunday Black.
Right.
So like that's where I was like, dude, the experience was a blast. And like I said, I loved hanging out with Nate. He's an awesome dude. Shout out to Nate. But like, I just think that it wasn't enough of us. But then again, that's what happens when you go to, like, I'm always the producer. And when I said I don't want to be the producer, that's what happens when you give someone else the production to give them the charge. So like that's just how it is. And Pete and I have this conversation all the time, is like, we're the type of people like with that producer mindset where like, you know what you want.
Right.
So for us, we've talked, it's hard to like give up that control because we're so used to doing things a certain way. But it was, dude, that day was a blast. Like, such a special day.
We were there for 7 hours.
Was it 7 hours?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
7 or 8.
Holy
it was
shit.
It was somewhere. Yeah.
Negan just showed
and
up.
It didn't feel that way though, because we were just like, all right, let's record guitars. Let's record bass. Again, don't know how to play the bass line to that song. I remember making up something cool.
I don't even remember what it sounds like. But I'm going to wrap this thing up. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks, Matty, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, this was a blast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully, I think I'm hoping we'll see more of Matty as the new season comes out and rolls in. I know we got if it ever comes out, a new Blink-182 album review.
Yeah. Coming to you live 2027.
Yeah, at this rate, dude, Edging has almost been out for a year.
I know.
I'm not a fan of that song, but we're not going to get into that. But no, it's so as long as Travis in October, so as long as that album comes out in October, we're going to record an episode for November. Me, Pete, Sean, and if you want to hop in on that.
Yeah, I'd love to.
We got a Christmas episode. We got Neighbors from Hell. We got a bunch of episodes coming starting October 11th. You can check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Check out our merch through those socials. That will be going up soon. And October 11th, we're rebooting. But yeah, so thanks to everyone listening. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Share it with your friends. I don't know if you can like things on Spotify. I'm new to Spotify.
I think you can.
So like the episode, leave a review, and share it with your friends. And if you're on YouTube, like the video, give us a comment, whatever. Yeah. But signing off, this is Matt, Fueled by Coffee Podcast. We will see you on the next one.